Okay, welcome back. I think today we might be able to just finish off the project. Everything's looking good. There has been some changes since we last did the video. So I have already gone and updated the view more button. So these are all clickable now, which it wasn't before. There wasn't much extra to it. Basically, I went into the display all page, and when you click on it, it basically redirects you links using the link from React Router DOM. Just send you to this link, and it will automatically update, right? So it wasn't that much of a change. It was exactly the same thing with the tracks and then the playlist. I don't think I changed anything in the playlist. So click here and it still shows you all of the songs. So I have been working on the chart feature that I said I was going to work on, and for that what we are using is React.js 2. So it's just chart.js, but this one specifically designed to be used with React. So it's a little bit different. So I've been still having to relearn a lot of this stuff because I could not simply just copy and paste like from GitHub before. It's the same ideas, just a little bit of different syntax of writing it. If I go into my React app, it's basically done. Well, you could say basically done. This is not real data at the moment. That's done. There's a lot of like some of styling issues that I haven't figured out. So if I actually go into the code, you can see it here. So all we had to do was first thing, let's not need that. So install React.js 2. You can just go into the terminal and just type in npm install, and from there you can just install React Chart.js 2, and it will just work. But for other things, you import all of the things that you need, so such as like the bar element. So that's usually used for making bar graphs. This chart is basically the whole chart.js module that we still have to import. We still have to install chart.js as well separately, so make sure you do that if you're going to implement it. And that's about it. So once we import all this stuff, we also have to register them to make sure that it works. And once you register them, it's basically, let's say, like calling the bar, because we are using bar graphs. So just calling the bar component and then passing in the labels. So that will be our if I go back, so that will be all our labels on the y-axis. And then the data set, as you can see, the data set is not real yet because I have not properly defined the data set yet, and it was causing errors. So I didn't want to I just wanted to see it, what everything else was working for now except for the data. These are just the colors for our bars and the borders, and these are all the options that you need. So let's say for now legend is does not work because it's been changed, so it shows an error. It doesn't identify what legend is. We did import legend, which is written like this, but again it doesn't like it, so we could work on something like those. The legend is basically that tiny thing up here. It shows what each of the bar mean, but I didn't want that, so I need to figure out how to remove that. And there are some other things like if you can see or not, but there is actually the grid showing up here. I would not want the grid. I could remove the title here as well, but I think maybe I'll keep the title, I don't know. And then that's about it. And there's nothing on balance because I don't think there's enough data sets in here. So if I just type in 7, and there we go. Okay, that is fine. I may or may not want these as well. I don't think it's much necessary for me having a axis up here, but what I do want is once I hover on them, it should hopefully show me the actual data set within the bar, and we will also go through some of the design aspects. So with that, let's go and have a look. Why not? So let me just first actually um, organize this a bit because I just copied it from one of the examples they had as well. I don't think I'll need tooltip. So I'll keep the legend because I do need it at some point. I think I was just talking about it just then, but it wouldn't work. Why is there so much like gaps in them? So so I won't need this type up here. Let's figure out on actually getting the data first. I think that might be the best way of doing it. This data is here, but it doesn't like it. I do not know why, so it does not exist on the type chart data, which is this. Have I not defined? So I said values, which is the track features, and it's a list. I guess it will just be data dot values dot that. Okay. Oh, it's possibly undefined. So you can say data dot values dot danceability, data dot values dot energy, data dot values dot instrumentalness, and data dot values dot liveliness. Oh, there's so many. Well, it's 7, but balance. Okay. I think I am going to make them go down below, then it'll be easier to see. Okay. Okay, so that's all the data that we need. Doesn't need to be null. So we actually need to pass this data, and if I go into our server, you will see that I also did a little bit of changes. So when we had get audio features or something like that, basically I put that into get track features and made it accessible through this endpoint. So that's about it. Everything else is still the same, so if you change that, that's about all you need. Song ID, so my idea was we will pass this song ID through here, and then since we have the song ID, we can do a fetch request, but we will also need the access token. So we'll say access token, and that is going to be request dot query dot access token, or it can be null, right? And then basically we do a fetch and pass the access token in. We get the features, all of the features, and we extract the required features about the data and send it back to this endpoint. So what we got to do now is within our track features, we actually have to fetch from that point. So if I use a use effect, instead I'll just say get data here as well, because it usually tends to be easier to do it that way. Oh, get data. Okay, of course get data is not going to be defined at the moment. And here I'll say const get data. That's going to be an async function. And what get data will do is, first thing it'll do is get a response. Oh, I'm not typing all the HTTP part anywhere where I've got that. There we go. Okay, instead of going there, we'll go into get track features, I think. Track features, and we'll actually pass in the token. When I did it, what did I say? I actually said access token, so okay, we'll just say access token, and that's just going to be access token. And also we need to pass in the song ID, which is going to be the let's call it song ID for now. Okay, that is fine. Okay, now we need to define our access tokens and the song IDs. So where do we actually get those from? So this is going to be our track charts, right? So if we go into our track details, so this is the page that we actually show, right? Do we have access to the access token here though? No. Let's see where we can get the actual access token from. Is it within track details? I think it is within track details. So I click on the track details. Where do I click on it? That will be from the details page, right? So that should be from within the app or from the view more part section. It'll be in my name card. So if I go in here, URL to direct, and then it'll basically send you to the URL with the name of the user and the for the track. We don't need to wait anything, so I don't think I send the access token, so I actually need to send the access token anyway. So give me a sec. Okay, so I have decided on taking a different approach to getting the access token. Instead of fetching it or like passing it through different parameters, we are going to use session storage, something I should have done from the start of making this application, but we are learning as we go. So I figured I learned about sessions like halfway through the project, and I was like, it's not worth it changing the whole thing anymore. But anyway, on our app, when we first get the access token, I basically set the access token in the session. So because this is set within our browser now, it can be easily accessed from any page. So if we go to trackchart.js, what we'll say is access token, and we'll basically get the access token that we set from our sessions. Okay, and then since we have that, we can just pass it here. The song ID is still a mystery. No, I can just pass it from our other one. So instead of saying data here, we won't be needing the data because we will just be accessing it ourselves. However, what we will do is we will have an ID here. We'll just receive an ID, which will be a string, and then track features. I don't know when I'll need them. I might need them at some point, but I won't be needing chart data though. So and how do I know this is working? What we can do is console log this. No, not here. So access token, we'll say access token. Oh, okay, great. Firstly, there was two doubles there, but that's of course not the issue here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put a comma. It's missing something. Let's just say it can be null for the time being. And then let's comment that out as well. Okay, so we are in the page. I'm going to console log. Okay, I don't know about these errors, but we are getting the access token up here, and that is through our sessions. What this also means, we can later use the refresh token to update that access token in the sessions, so you don't have to log in 20 times, right? So we'll leave that there. What I'm first gonna start by changing is the actual URLs. That is the way we can get the ID of our song. So this is the details URL logic page that I created. It's the same logic we had within our name card before. I just turned it into a different file so I don't have to repeat it in multiple places. So what I'm going to do is, if we have a track, and that should be this one, we are also going to pass the ID, because as you can see here, we're only passing the name in the cover image, so we are also going to pass the ID in here. So let's start by doing that. So we'll just end ID is simply going to be our single data dot ID, right? So since that logic is done, within our track details, our data will actually get the ID now. So I've added like the ID prop up here, because so it doesn't we don't necessarily need the ID every time. Well, I guess we do for track details, but for in other parts we don't. So we just pass that data, and then that data should have the ID. I'm console logging it just to check, make sure that it is working. Well, it won't, because I haven't passed it through the data but through the URL, but it won't be in this URL as well. So I'm in track details right now, so I need to consider, where do I go into track details from our name, right? So if I go into my name, name card even, so if I go into my name card and my URL to direct, I don't define it here, do I? We pass in the single data, so that should have the ID. However, so when I click on the name card, it goes to the link and the URL to direct, but not with the correct things. Or is it because I haven't refreshed it? Let's say that. I just need to make sure that I actually have the ID in the URL here more than anything else. So I've got the track. Okay, I've got the ID now. It was just because I hadn't refreshed it before. Now since I've got the ID within here, I can just get it in our track details. I said data.id wherever is not coming from the data, so I'll have to map it manually. So ID is going to URL search params window.search window dot okay, let me just search it up. What was it? No, that's the push state. I'm actually not getting it from anywhere. It's like when you need it, you can't find it. Let me just so I have URL search prompts. Let's call it new window dot I was pretty sure it's search, but it's not window dot. Let me just give it a sec. Let me just search up. Okay, so it's just simply window dot location dot search, and then we're just going to get the ID. and in here we don't pass in data.id, but we only pass in the ID. It's not going to be null now, so I don't think I have to say that. Okay, maybe I have to. Yep. Let me just see if I'm actually getting the ID here. I go on console. Okay, I am getting the ID, which I'm logging in from our track charts. So I'm logging the ID here, and we were getting the ID, so that is fine. Nothing's been displaying as of now, so I just need to make sure that my data is correct. So if I go in here, let's say console.log my chart data, let's log that and see if that makes any difference. Let's refresh that. Okay, nothing. So I'm not getting an error either. So what is happening of my if I actually go in and just see if my data is working, most of all, before I set it with anything. Nothing. And why is that? I have no idea. Let's go back and figure it out. See what our response is saying. Because I have got the access token and I have got the ID, why is it not logging anything anywhere? I am calling the get data. Fine, if I just say, just make sure, just log hi, make sure that it's actually running. Okay, we are there. We go into the try catch. Do we get the response back? No, we don't. So the problem is up here with getting the actual response from our track features. We pass in the access token in the song ID. Go back here, get track features, we pass in the access token on the song ID. I just want to make sure I'm getting it here. So I am getting the access token. Let's see about the song ID. No. Okay, let me actually refresh it. Couldn't get audio features. I guess I'm getting an error now. I go back. No, I'm getting the ID as well, so that is not the problem here. Let's see if I'm getting a data as well. Oh, I know why. I can already see it. Why it's not working? Because that should be response.json of the required features. There we go. Voila. See, sometimes it's small mistakes like that. So now, since we have this, I guess this song doesn't have any instrumentalness. Wherever I did a console log, good luck trying to find it. There we go. We can remove them just to clear out some unnecessary code. That's fine. Now all we can really work on is the um, track charts. So that will be our chart that we're gonna work on. We won't need this. And since we've got our data here as well, so what did I say? I didn't want this, whatever it was called, what was it called? Label? No, that's the actual title. Legend. So I didn't want the legend, and I didn't want the y-axis. So let's try and remove that first. So if we have a look at one of the examples shown in the from the documentation, you can see the legend belongs to the plugins. So all we have to really let's try that from the plugins then. So in here we will say legend, and that will simply be set display, or we'll set it to false, right? Comma here. Okay, let's see if that, okay, that works. So we have removed the legend. Now all that's left is the x-axis. However, that should be, I think I haven't really had a look for that yet, but that should be within somewhere in the plugin. Index axis y, maybe in the options as well, scales. Yeah, so in here, what if I say x there, comma, and in here I say display, and then give it a false. Oh, there we go. But it doesn't show up anything when I hover over it. Do these do. So why is that? Maybe it's something to do with the tooltip. Oh, I don't know what that means. Okay, I'll just do a quick research and I'll come back. Okay, so I was right. It was the tooltip. Quick search, and that's what tooltip is. Just whenever you hover it and it shows a small thing, that's tooltip. So I just imported it and registered it. So if I go back into my page, in here, as you can see, I hover it and actually tells you the values of each of the tracks. So click at that, and as you can see, it has a lot of danceability and energy, liveliness, but not much instrumentalness or the acousticness. That's about it. We just need to fix this now, which is, I think after adding this it has kind of messed up. Need to make it a little bit smaller as well, so we'll work on that. So in here, so what we're going to do is inside our track details, we're going to add a div around our chart component. So we will just yeah, wrap it around a div. I also made sure the text align was center up here. That's why our home is not all over here right now. So in here, let's give it some style. So we'll set the width to be 100%. So that should give us the whole width. Actually want to give it a flex box property. So we'll say flex, and we want to align everything inside, like in the center, right? So what does it justify content to the center, and that should change nothing, so it's basically where it was. But now we can set a height property, which will say here, let's say about 50%. Sounds good. Okay, it's a little bit too big. Let's make it about 40%. Yeah, I think that looks good, right? So yeah, if I hover over it, it shows me the data. That should be the same with everything else. So why is that messed up now? I think given the actual data, yeah, they all behave differently given what data I have. So I guess I don't have enough space in between them, some of them. Could that be the case? I don't see anything else with that data. it could just be one of them where the image is a bit funky, so they do that. So here we go. The image problem is now fixed. All I really did was did a display flex on the row, flexed it in the column direction, and then aligned it center. And with that, our project has ended. It was a lot of fun. Learned a lot of stuff, but it looks cool. I like it. It does what it needs to do, and then yeah, it was a fun project to do. And if I add some more to it, you can always follow it on the GitHub, and you will see any updates that are made. With that, I'm signing up.